There used to be dead zones in life, places where information simply stopped. You didn't know where people were, you didn't know what they were thinking, you didn't know what happened after someone moved away or disappeared from your life, and strangely that made life feel bigger. I think one of the worst things the internet killed was mystery. And I don't mean mystery in the conspiracy theory sense, I mean the ordinary kind, the human kind. The feeling that there were still things left unknown, things left to imagine. Because before the internet consumed modern life, most people existed only in fragments inside your head. You knew your friends at school, maybe you talked on the phone, maybe you saw them at a store or after class, but when they went home, they vanished. They returned to being an idea. Today, nobody vanishes anymore. Everyone is permanently visible. Everyone is broadcasting. Everyone is accessible. And I think that changed human life more than we realize. If I could describe what life before the internet felt like, I would say it felt slower, but larger. Not necessarily better, just larger. Because information moves slower. Culture moves slower. People move slower. There is distance between things. And mystery needs distance to survive. In the 90s, and honestly even the early 2000s, you couldn't instantly look everybody up. If somebody moved away, they were basically gone unless you actively stayed connected. There were people you met once and never saw again. People became memories instead of profiles. You also couldn't instantly verify everything. Rumors lived longer. Urban legends felt real. There was always some story about a haunted road, a weird house, a secret government experiment, or some kid who swore he saw something impossible. And because there wasn't instant access to information, your imagination filled in the gaps. Now, imagination barely gets the chance. The second something happens, there are 10 Reddit threads, 6 TikToks, a YouTube breakdown, and somebody in the comments explaining why it's fake. Nothing breathes anymore. People were never meant to know this much about each other. You wake up and instantly absorb the opinions, routines, insecurities, political beliefs, relationships, and private thoughts of hundreds of people at once. Acquaintances become content streams. Before social media, there were people you only knew in one context. Maybe somebody at school seemed cool because all you knew about them was how they dressed or talked in class. Now within 5 minutes, you can see their old tweets, their relationship problems, what they ate for dinner, their Spotify playlists, their mental breakdowns, and every opinion they ever had since 2016. People used to exist in pieces. Now everybody exists in full resolution. And weirdly, knowing more about people often makes them feel smaller. Because mystery is what allows imagination to exist. When you don't fully know somebody, your brain fills in the gaps. There's tension there, curiosity, wonder, but the internet aggressively removes gaps. Everything becomes documented. Everything becomes explained. Everything becomes categorized. Even experiences themselves don't feel untouched anymore. Modern life is pre-experienced. Before you watch a movie, you already know the discourse around it. Before you visit a restaurant, you've seen pictures of every meal. Before you travel somewhere, you've already watched 50 videos about it. Before you hear an album, you've already seen reactions, rankings, hot takes, and breakdowns. People barely discover things anymore. They consume the collective opinion of the thing before they even experience it themselves. And I think that changes the emotional impact of life. Because discovery is powerful. Stumbling onto something accidentally used to feel magical. Finding a weird song late at night on the radio, renting some random movie because the cover looked interesting, meeting somebody without already knowing their entire digital identity, there was uncertainty to life. And uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, but it also makes life feel alive. The internet removed a lot of waiting too. Waiting used to be a part of existence. Waiting for somebody to call, waiting for an album to release, waiting to see somebody again, waiting to hear news, waiting to know. Now the answer arrives instantly, and maybe convenience is worth it, but psychologically, I think something disappeared when anticipation died, because anticipation stretches emotion. Without waiting, experiences blur together. And maybe that's part of why modern life feels so flat sometimes. Everything arrives too quickly to leave an imprint. People today treat boredom like torture. Every silent moment gets filled with scrolling. Every waiting room becomes content consumption. Every free second gets occupied. But boredom used to force people inward. You would daydream, explore, reflect, bake things up. The internet solved boredom, but boredom was where mystery came from. And what's interesting is that people who completely opt out of the internet almost seem disconnected from modern reality now. If somebody tells you they don't use social media, don't keep up with trends, don't constantly text people back, and basically exist outside of the online world, people look at them like they're abnormal, like they're detached from society somehow, because modern life quietly assumes permanent connection. You are expected to be reachable, expected to post, expected to know what's happening, expected to participate in the algorithm. And when somebody refuses to do that, they almost regain a kind of mystery that most people lost years ago. There's something strange about meeting somebody who barely exists online. It feels unfamiliar now, almost unsettling, because modern internet turned visibility into normality, and invisibility into suspicion. But even though mystery disappeared from ordinary life, humans still crave it. So mystery didn't die, it mutated. That's why the internet is full of conspiracies, rabbit holes, anonymous accounts, creepypastas, strange forums, schizo-posting, and bizarre rumors. People still crave the feeling that something hidden exists underneath reality. The difference is that old mystery felt organic. Modern mystery feels artificial, manufactured, algorithmic. Before, mystery came from limitation. Now it comes from information overload. And maybe the strangest part is that despite knowing more about each other than any generation in human history, people seem to feel more disconnected than ever. Because visibility is not the same thing as closeness. Constant exposure is not intimacy. And information is not understanding. Maybe mystery is necessary for human life. Maybe people need spaces where things remain incomplete, where not everything is instantly revealed, explained, recorded, and shared. Because once everything becomes visible, life starts to lose depth. And maybe that's what the internet really took from us. Not privacy, not attention spans, but the feeling that there were still unknown parts of the world left to discover.